The strange agreement Ethan had never imagined he would live with an alien. When he first moved into this small apartment near the starport, he was just looking for a cheap place to stay. But rent was too high for one person, so when he saw the notice about a roommate, he didn't think much before accepting it. His new roommate, Lyra, was not human. She looked almost human, but with smooth silver skin and bright green eyes that glowed softly in the dark. Her hair was long and white, falling over her shoulders like silk. When they first met, she bowed politely and spoke with a calm, soft voice. "I hope we can live peacefully together, Ethan," she had said. But on their first night together, something strange happened. As Ethan got ready for bed, brushing his teeth and preparing to sleep, Lyra quietly stood at the bedroom door. She wasn't going to her own room, in fact. She didn't even put a bed in there. "Ethan," she said gently, "in my culture, we share a bed. It is tradition. I hope this will not be a problem." Ethan froze. Share a bed with a woman, an alien woman. His heart beat faster. Oh, this was so awkward. He didn't want to be rude, but this felt too personal, too sudden. He tried to laugh nervously. "Oh, you mean, it's normal for your people?" "Yes," she nodded. "It shows trust. It shows comfort." Ethan scratched his head, looking at her serious face. Maybe it really was just cultural. Maybe it meant nothing to her. He didn't want to seem disrespectful or ignorant. "Okay, I guess that's fine," he said slowly. So that night, they shared his bed. At first, Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay stiffly on one side, while Lyra lay on the other. She kept to her side of the bed, but he could feel her presence so clearly. The warmth of her body, the soft rustle of the sheets. His mind kept racing. This felt too weird. But something else caught his attention. Even though she was lying still, Akitha could hear her breathing. It wasn't normal. She was breathing fast, and sometimes he thought he heard a quiet wince, like she was in pain but trying to hide it. He glanced over. Her face was turned away, but her shoulders seemed tense. Why would she want to share a bed if she's uncomfortable? He wondered. A few minutes later, he caught her holding her side gently, almost as if it hurt. Yet, when he asked quietly, "Lyra, are you okay?" she quickly replied, "Yes, please rest, I'm fine." But she didn't sound fine at all. Ethan stayed awake much longer than usual that night. Every time he almost drifted off, he would hear a soft sound from her, a sigh, a quiet gasp, a shuffle as she moved uncomfortably. There was a feeling of mystery hanging over this simple bedroom scene. What kind of tradition was this? Why did she insist on sharing his bed? Why did she seem to be hiding her pain? The next morning, as Ethan made coffee, Lyra acted normal. She sat quietly at the table, sipping warm tea, her expression calm. But her eyes looked tired, and her movements were slower than before. Ethan couldn't help but ask again, "Lyra, are you sure you're all right? You didn't seem comfortable last night." Lyra smiled softly, but did not answer directly. She just said, "Thank you for sharing your bed. It means more than you know." Her words felt heavy, like they carried some hidden meaning. Ethan nodded slowly, but inside he felt confused and worried. Later that day, as he sat at his work desk, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about it. He searched for information about her species online. There were articles about their peaceful nature, about their strange customs, but nothing about this bed-sharing tradition. Was she telling the whole truth? Or was something else going on? That night, as he prepared for bed again, Lyra quietly appeared at his door, just like before. She didn't ask permission this time. She simply slipped under the covers, curling up on her side with her back. To him, once again, Ethan heard that strange breathing pattern, the soft winces, the occasional quiet sigh. She was clearly suffering. But why? As he lay there, staring at the ceiling, a strange mix of emotions filled him. Curiosity, concern, and confusion. Something was not right, and deep down, Ethan knew this was not just about tradition. Sleepless nights the next few nights became stranger for Ethan. Every evening, Lyra quietly joined him in the same bed, lying close, but never crossing a line. At first, Ethan tried to ignore her presence, but it was impossible. He could feel her sadness, her pain, even though she said nothing. Each night, she seemed weaker. Her silver skin, once shining softly, looked pale now. Her glowing green eyes, bright and curious before, looked dim and tired. When she thought Ethan was asleep, she curled up tightly, holding her side as if something deep inside her was hurting. Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He needed answers. During his lunch break at work, he sat with his friend Kara, who worked at the Alien Affairs office. Kara was human too, but she studied alien cultures. "Hey Kara," Ethan said, leaning in quietly. "Can I ask you something strange?" Kara smiled. "Of course. What's going on?" "I have this alien roommate," he began. "Her name is Lyra, and she insists on sharing a bed with me. She says it's tradition for her species. But," Ethan lowered his voice, "she seems sick. She's in pain every night. But she won't tell me why." Kara's smile faded. Her eyes grew serious. "What species is she?" "She's a Zelari," Ethan said. "From the Zelari system." Kara froze for a moment. Then she spoke carefully. "Ethan, I've read about them. You need to know something. Zelari only share a bed when they are ill. It's not just tradition. Bed sharing is part of a healing ritual for them. Means they're sick. Maybe seriously sick." Ethan felt his stomach drop. "She didn't tell me that," he said quietly. "She just said it was her people's tradition." Kara nodded slowly. "Sometimes Zelari don't want to burden others. But if she's sharing your bed, she must trust you. Or she has no choice." That night, Ethan watched Lyra more closely. As soon as they lay down, she wrapped herself tight in a blanket, like she was trying to protect herself from something cold inside her. Her breathing was fast again. Her face looked peaceful, but tense, as if she was trying to hide her pain from him. At one point, just before midnight, Ethan thought she had fallen asleep. He carefully turned toward her, watching quietly. But then he noticed something that made his breath catch in the soft moonlight coming through the window. He could see a faint blue glow on her wrist, strange marks, like lines and symbols, faintly shining under her skin. He hadn't seen those before. What was happening to her? He didn't ask her that night. He couldn't. She seemed too fragile, too distant. But as he lay there, staring at the glowing symbols, one thing became clear. This was no simple tradition. She was hiding something important, and Ethan had to find out before it was too late. A warning from a friend. The next morning, Ethan could barely think straight at work. The blue glowing marks he had seen on Lyra's wrist haunted his thoughts. What did they mean? Were they a sign of disease? Was she dying right beside him every night? During lunch, Ethan couldn't hold his questions inside any longer. He walked straight to Gorath, a tall alien technician from the Zelari system. Gorath wasn't friendly, but he always spoke honestly. "Hey Gorath," Ethan said quietly. "Can I ask you something personal about your people?" Gorath frowned, his green eyes narrowing. "What is it, human?" "My roommate is Zelari." "Okay," Ethan explained. "She insists on sharing my bed every night. She says it's tradition, but something feels wrong. She's sick, Gorath, I can tell. And I saw blue glowing marks on her skin last night." For a moment, Gorath froze. His face became serious, even a little afraid. He leaned in close and spoke in a low voice. You are in danger, Ethan. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Danger? Why? She's harmless. She's in pain. Gorath shook his head slowly. You don't understand. Zalari, do not share beds. Unless they are suffering from a soul sickness. It is rare, and it is deadly. The glowing marks mean it is advanced. She's losing her life force. Ethan's throat went dry. Then why is she here? Why me? Gorath's eyes darkened. Because for Zalari, healing depends on a bond, a connection between souls. Sleeping close to someone they trust slows the sickness. But if it is too late, it can spread. Spread. Ethan whispered. Yes, Gorath said coldly. Her bond with you becomes too strong. She may pull your life force into her, without even knowing it. Ethan felt chills down his spine. Gorath placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. You must decide quickly, human. Help her, or protect yourself, but do not wait too long. That night, Ethan returned home in silence. Lyra was already waiting at the bedroom door, her face pale but still carrying that soft, tired smile. Without a word, she stepped inside and lay down on the bed as if it was routine now. But Ethan could see her hands trembling. His mind raced. Was she dangerous? Was this tradition just a cover for something far more serious? Why hadn't she told him the truth? As he lay beside her that night, her back facing him, Ethan could feel the sadness in the air, as if Lyra herself was afraid to dot suddenly. Just before falling asleep, she whispered softly, almost too quietly to hear. Thank you, Ethan, for not sending me away. Her voice broke at the last word, and Ethan felt a deep ache inside. There was more going on than she was saying. The warning from Gorath echoed in his mind, but so did the pain in Lyra's eyes. This wasn't just about tradition anymore. This was about trust. Life, and maybe death. The mysterious Markeithan couldn't sleep. Even though his eyes were closed, his mind was wide awake. Lyra lay quietly next to him, her breathing soft. But every few minutes, she made a small sound, a faint sigh, almost like a quiet cry. In the soft light of the moon, Ethan noticed something new. The glowing blue marks on her wrist had spread. Now, thin glowing lines crept up her arm and disappeared beneath her shirt sleeve. The glow pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat, but weak, as if fading. Ethan couldn't look away. His heart pounded as he remembered Gorath's words. If the bond becomes too strong, she may pull your life force into her. ... He carefully reached for his phone on the bedside table and quietly snapped a picture of the marks. He needed to know what these symbols meant. The next morning, before Lyra woke up, Ethan rushed out of the apartment. He didn't even drink his coffee. Instead, he went straight to Kara, his friend from the Alien Affairs office. Kara. Look at this, he said, showing her the photo on his phone. Kara's eyes widened. Where did you get this? These are bonding marks. Zalari life bond symbols. Life bond. Ethan repeated. Kara nodded seriously. When a Zalari is dying from soul sickness, they try to form a connection, a life bond with another being. The bond helps keep them alive, but it's dangerous. The closer they sleep together, the stronger the bond becomes. If they bond too deeply, the sickness can drain the other person too. Ethan felt a chill. So she's been bonding with me every night. Yes, Kara said softly. But it's not malicious. She's probably desperate. She's showing marks like this, she's near the end. Ethan's chest tightened. He thought back to Lyra's tired eyes, her trembling hands, her quiet gratitude for not sending her away. She wasn't just following some tradition. She was fighting for her life. When Ethan returned home that evening, Lyra was sitting at the kitchen table. Her hands were wrapped around a warm cup of tea, but she looked weaker than ever. The blue glow was now faintly visible at the base of her neck. She looked up at Ethan and gave him a small smile, but it was sad. "Lyra," Ethan said gently, pulling out the chair across from her. "Please tell me the truth. What's really happening to you?" For a long moment, she didn't answer. Then, in a quiet voice, she said, "In my culture, when one of us suffers from soul sickness, we seek out another. Someone we trust. Someone whose energy can help us survive. Sleeping close. Sharing a bed. It slows the sickness, but I never expected you to care this much." Her voice broke again, her eyes shining with tears. "I didn't want to scare you," she whispered. "But I was dying, Ethan, and I had nowhere else to go." Ethan felt his throat tighten. The truth was painful, but it explained everything. She had come to him not because of custom, but because she was desperate. Alone, afraid, and now? The blue glowing marks told him that time was running out. As Lyra lowered her gaze, Ethan noticed her hand trembling badly. He gently placed his hand over hers, her skin cold, almost icy. A moment passed between them, silent, but heavy with unspoken words. Ethan realized then, this was no ordinary roommate arrangement. He had to decide soon, would he help her or protect himself? The suspense was stronger than ever. The quiet mystery of the alien girl lying beside him every night was no longer just strange. It was a matter of life, and maybe death. The hidden truth that night, Ethan couldn't pretend anymore. As soon as they lay down, he turned to face Lyra and spoke softly, but firmly. "Lyra, I know about the marks. I know you are sick. Please, tell me the whole truth." Lyra froze. She stayed silent for a long moment, her glowing green eyes staring at the wall. Finally, she turned toward him. Her voice weak, but honest. "I didn't want you to know how close I am to the end," she whispered. "When my people become this sick, we return to our home world. But I could not go back. I am exiled." Ethan's heart sank. Exiled? Why? Lyra hesitated, then lifted her shirt sleeve. The glowing blue marks covered her upper arm and shoulder now, almost like a glowing tattoo. But hidden within the glow was something darker, a symbol of banishment, burned into her skin. "My people feared this illness would spread to others," she said quietly. "So they sent me away, alone, to die far from home." Ethan felt a deep ache in his chest. She had come to Earth not because she wanted to, but because she had nowhere else to go. The bed sharing, the bond, she continued, was my only hope. When you agreed to share your bed with me, I thought maybe I could survive. Her voice cracked again, her fingers gripping the blanket tightly. "I'm sorry, Ethan," she whispered. "I never wanted to harm you, but I am afraid. I didn't know it would go this far. The bond is stronger now, and soon, you might begin to feel it too." Ethan froze. His mind raced. Was that why he had been so tired lately? Why his dreams felt strange? Why he sometimes felt cold, even when wrapped in warm blankets? The sickness was already starting to touch him, but looking at Lyra so fragile, so sad, Ethan couldn't bring himself to turn her away. She had trusted him. She had come to him in her most desperate moment. That night, he stayed awake long after Lyra finally fell into a restless sleep. He watched the faint blue glow of the marks on her skin, pulsing weakly. Then he made a decision. If this bond could save her, then he would help her fully. He would not let her die alone, exiled and afraid. Tomorrow, he would find a way. He didn't know how yet. But he couldn't leave her like this. As the night grew darker, the room felt heavy with silence. But inside Ethan's heart, a quiet determination burned brighter than ever. Whatever this hidden truth meant, he was ready to face it. The emotional decision the next morning, Ethan sat quietly at the kitchen table, staring at his hands. Lyra moved slowly around the room, her silver skin looking pale and dim. The glowing blue marks reaching her neck and spreading toward her face. She barely touched her tea. She looked weak, almost like a fading light. Ethan could feel it now too. For the past few nights, he had been feeling colder, slower, more tired than usual. Gorth's warning was right. The bond was growing stronger. If it continued, he might lose his own strength, even his life. But every time he looked at Lyra, sitting so quietly, struggling to breathe, he couldn't find the heart to push her away. That evening, he returned to speak with Kara one last time. "Kara's there. Any way to save her completely?" Ethan asked, his voice heavy. Kara looked at him sadly. "The only way for Azellari to truly heal is for the bond to be completed. It is like marriage for their kind. A life bond must be accepted willingly. Only then will her body stop rejecting life and begin to heal." Ethan froze. Marriage? A permanent bond. He had never imagined something like this. He barely knew her. She was an alien, a stranger. And yet, in these few strange nights, he had come to care for her. Kara continued gently. "But if you refuse, she will not survive many more nights." That night, as they lay in bed again, Ethan felt the weight of this choice pressing down on him. Lyra was trembling beside him, weaker than ever. He turned toward her and spoke softly but clearly. "Lyra, I know everything now, about the life bond, about how it works, about what it means." Lyra didn't move at first. Then, very slowly, she nodded. Her voice was almost a whisper. "I didn't want to ask you. I thought it would be selfish. I thought I could just borrow your warmth. Just enough to hold on." Her glowing green eyes filled with tears. "But I can't hold on anymore." She pulled the blanket close around her shoulders, as if preparing to fade away. Ethan felt a deep ache inside. He couldn't let this happen. She had trusted him when she had no one else. She had come to his home quietly, respectfully, hiding her pain so she wouldn't burden him. He reached out and gently took her cold hand in his. "Lyra, I don't fully understand your customs. If this bond can save your life, then I accept it," he said firmly. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. "You would complete the bond," she whispered. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, I don't want you to die. Not here, not alone." A single tear rolled down her silver cheek as she reached out and placed her glowing hand over his heart. The blue marks on her skin pulsed softly, and then spread, wrapping around both of their hands like a glowing ribbon. In that moment, Ethan felt a strange warmth, a peaceful warmth, spreading from her hand into his chest. The cold that had touched him for days melted away instantly. Lyra closed her eyes, a small, peaceful smile on her face. For the first time in many nights, her breathing slowed. Her shoulders relaxed. Her body finally at peace. The bond was complete, but as he lay there holding her hand, Ethan realized that his life had now changed forever. He was no longer just her roommate. He was her life-bonded partner. Their destinies were now joined. A new beginning the next morning. Something felt different in the small apartment. For the first time in many days, Ethan woke up, feeling rested. The heaviness in his body was gone, and a peaceful calm filled the room. Beside him, Lyra was still sleeping, but she looked so different now. Her silver skin had regained its soft glow. The faint blue marks that had covered her body were fading, leaving only a light shimmer behind. Her breathing was calm, smooth, steady. Ethan sat up slowly. Watching her, he realized that the bond they had completed last night had worked. She was healing, but he also felt something deep inside, A quiet connection, like a warm thread tying his heart to hers. It wasn't just physical. He could almost feel her emotions, a soft wave of peace, gratitude, and hope. When Lyra finally opened her glowing green eyes, she looked at him quietly for a moment before speaking. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice soft and full of emotion. Ethan smiled gently. "I couldn't let you die. Not like that." She sat up slowly, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. For the first time, she didn't look tired or in pain. Instead, her eyes shined with quiet strength and something more. "You didn't have to accept the bond," she said carefully. "It was dangerous for you, but you did it anyway." Ethan nodded. "I didn't fully understand it, but I knew you needed someone. You were alone, Lyra. No one should die like that." A long silence passed between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was a peaceful silence, the kind that didn't need words. Then Lyra did something unexpected. She reached out and gently took Ethan's hand in hers. "For my people," she said softly, "a life bond is sacred. It's not just a healing ritual, it's a promise. We don't break that promise." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "A promise." Lyra smiled gently. "Yes, you are my bonded partner now, my husband by Zellery custom. Our lives are connected." Ethan felt a strange warmth inside. Just a few days ago, she had been a stranger, an alien roommate with a strange tradition. Now, she was something much more. Later that day, Ethan took her out into the city. She wore a light scarf around her shoulders, and her silver skin shimmered gently in the sunlight. People stared, some with curiosity, some with fear. But Ethan didn't care. They walked side by side. The bond between them was invisible but strong. That night, when they returned home, Lyra prepared 2 cups of tea. She sat across from Ethan at the table, smiling softly. "Thank you for not pushing me away," she said quietly. Ethan met her gaze. "You're welcome, Lyra." In that quiet moment, Ethan knew his life had changed forever. But somehow, it felt right. Lyra was no longer just his alien roommate. She was his partner, his bond, his new beginning.